Dinesh D'Souza is a guy who put out 2016, a friend of the program, huge success with 2016. Now he has a new movie and a new book out called America, Imagine a World Without Her. It is one of the rare movies that have come out that have gotten an A+ from CineScore, and that is that's quite a feat in the last, 25 years, 50 movies?
Yeah, like 29 years, I think.
Only 50 movies have received an A+ rating. It is, this is more than Rotten Tomatoes. This is the way you really can tell. This is the way the industry tells this is a hit. This is something that everybody coming to it is loving. A+ is unheard of. It's available in theaters all across the country now. It's called America, Imagine a World Without Her, and Dinesh D'Souza is with us now. Hi, Dinesh. How are you, sir?
Hey, Glenn. It's good to be on the show.
You take on everybody. Noam Chomsky. You go in with Bill Ayers. You have
Ward Churchill.
I don't know how you even sit in the same room, but
agonizing.
Yeah, I mean, you went in and you talked to everybody, and really, the premise, which I really like, one of the things that you do in this is you find and you go right to the worst of the worst. Come on, bring it all out. Tell me everything that you hate about this country, and then you dismantle that argument.
Yes, I wanted to, I realize that there's this powerful critique of America. I call it America the Inexcusable. It's being taught in our schools and colleges. It's spilled over into Hollywood and the media. It's espoused by Obama. And I thought, listen, I'm going to get these guys and I'm going to let them rail against America. I'm going to have them explore the consequences of their beliefs. At one point, I asked Ward Churchill, if you think the United States is like Nazi Germany, if you think we are the evil empire and you had an atomic bomb, would you drop it on America? And then it's really interesting to see the tumblers of his mind as he begins to process this and think through, if this is the premise, then maybe we should destroy ourselves. So it's remarkable to see that these are people in America who hate America, and they're not marginal people. They're writing textbooks. They have powerful influence in government. So this becomes a film that is a moral defense of America and the free market system against these powerful leftists who now control the commanding heights of our culture and our politics.
So what do you hope to accomplish with this, Dinesh?
I think, Glenn, that there is a natural patriotism that beats in the breast of Americans. It's been suppressed, derided, insulted, and beaten down, and that's happened with a political motive. As I put it in a book of the same title that accompanies the film, I say that the shaming of America is a prelude to the shakedown of America. In other words, the left wants to take our money. In order to do that, it has to convince us that we're the bad guys and that the wealth of America has been stolen. So what I want to do in this film is I want to expose and refute this leftist critique. I want to show that the American history that it's based upon is selective and distorted, and deliberately so. And finally, I want to affirm people's patriotism so that they fall in love with America all over again, and they're motivated to do more to defend and protect the American dream.
I will tell you that I mentioned this the other day, and Pat said he felt the same way. For the very first time in my life, this 4th of July, I went to the 4th of July fireworks, and I didn't get all weepy-eyed. My love for what we are now has fallen so far, I didn't realize it until July 4th. Pat said he felt the same thing. When I said that to somebody else in our makeup room, we all love America, but there is something fundamentally happening to us to where we are disconnecting from the land that we love.
Yes, I think what's been happening is this, that there are two rival spirits in America. We sometimes talk about American exceptionalism, and we think that we affirm it and the left denies it. But no, the left also believes in its own type of exceptionalism. Basically, we believe America has been exceptionally good for the world. They believe America's been exceptionally bad. And so what they've been doing is, in Obama's words, remaking America. They've been remaking the way young people feel about their country. You can notice in young people that same natural patriotism I mentioned a moment ago. It doesn't exist in a whole generation of young people. Why? Because those young people have never experienced it. From the time they went to grade school, they were taught, oh, gee, you know, this evil Christopher Columbus is the guy who came here first, and then slavery, and then the American founders were a bunch of hypocrites, and then Lincoln didn't fight the Civil War over slavery, and basically nothing good in America started happening until the late 1960s, when we basically got, you know, feminism and gay rights. So that's the leftist narrative of America. It's highly distorted. It leaves about 80% of America's history out. So we can't restore America without telling the new story of America, in which we expose these lies about America, and what we do is we show that the principles of 1776, although that was 200 years ago, are still relevant to rebuilding America today.
A lot of people don't realize, and I was so glad that you bring this out, a lot of people don't really realize, every time I show this on TV or I show this in a crowd, when I stand up in an audience and I show a first edition Saul Alinsky book signed by him, and it's dedicated to Lucifer, it takes the air out of the room. Most people don't understand that a guy who was a mentor to this president and to Hillary Clinton, the president, that famous picture of him at the chalkboard where he is teaching something, and he always says, well, I was a constitutional scholar, and they always show that picture. He's not that's not the Constitution. He is showing the power structure for Saul Alinsky, and Hillary Clinton did her thesis on Saul Alinsky.
Yeah, the Alinsky is the bridge that connects Obama to Hillary. Some people think that, you know, it wouldn't be so bad to have Hillary. It maybe even be a relief after Obama because, you know, gee, we're going to get Billary. Bill wasn't so bad, and the 90s weren't so bad. Part of what we show in this movie, America, is that Hillary is a lot more like Barack than she is like Bill, and the bridge connecting the two is Alinsky. The remarkable thing about Alinsky is that when he was a young man, he studied criminology, and he began to study the Capone gang, the mafia. And he came to admire them. He spent a lot of time with them, particularly with a guy named Frank Nitti, who was Capone's number 2 in that gang. And he realized that the genius of the mafia was that it could extort people and get money out of them by intimidating them. And Alinsky went, wow, I wonder if I can do that in politics. And obviously I can't take a gun to people, but I'll use a different kind of a gun. I'll use shame. I'll basically put people up against the wall. I'll make it seem like their wealth is not theirs, that they've stolen it historically. They've stolen it through the taking of the land from the Native Americans, or through the Mexican War, in which the United States increased its territory by grabbing a part of Mexico. I will make the wealth of America seem illicit, like it's stolen goods. And then I will start reaching into people's wallets and start taking that money back. And Obama heard about this, and he went, wow. Now, Obama has no ties to Chicago. He was born in Hawaii, he lived in Indonesia, but he kept going back to Chicago again and again and again. Why? To learn these Alinsky tactics. Now, Obama didn't know Alinsky personally, though, but Hillary met Alinsky in high school. She developed a relationship with him that continued through college. She invited him to speak at Wellesley, where she was a student. She wrote, as you say, her thesis on Alinsky. So Hillary's formative political mind has come through the influence of this gangster, Saul Alinsky.
So let me switch to the border. We have a problem in our country right now with people saying that you're, not you, but, that I would be anti-immigrant or any of us would be anti-immigrant. We're not anti-immigrant. But naturalization is something that doesn't happen anymore. Immigration and naturalization. Naturalization is like if you're talking to a Christian, go ahead, join a church, but are you converted? And that's what naturalization is. Immigration is, great, join us. Naturalization is, are you converted? Have you become an American? we're not trying to make anybody an American anymore. And we're losing our culture. And with the border, what should we be doing here, Dinesh? What does this mean?
Well, I don't understand how a great nation can't control its border, particularly in this era of technology. Look, our government is spying on American citizens. They're downloading our contact list. They know our every movement. How is it possible for people to come across the Rio Grande or come through the mountains of Sonora and get into the United States without us being able to see them through cameras? Well, I was at the border, by the way, about a month ago. We do see them. We can actually stop this, but we don't want to. We, meaning the Obama administration. A border guard told me that when he went to his supervisor and told him, he said, look at this camera. We're recording hundreds of people coming across the border right here. Guess what the supervisor told him? Move the camera. In other words, move the camera where it doesn't spot those people, because we can't let the American people see what we as an Obama administration are allowing and in fact want to happen. So something atrocious is going on in America, a kind of lawlessness that goes to the highest levels of government. Look, it goes way beyond the distinction between immigration and naturalization. We have a set of laws, and the laws say that if you want to become a citizen, you can, but you have to go through these steps. And I know, Glenn, I'm an immigrant. Mm-hmm. I went through that process. I became a citizen in 1991. Took me about 5 years to get there, and it was a very moving ceremony when it happened. So I'm very pro-immigration, but I'm pro-legal immigration, and of course I'm pro-assimilation. I came here to embrace the spirit of 1776 and be part of that American dream.
The conclusion that you come to in your film is what, Dinesh?
Well, the last film, 2016, was a little bit of a horror film, and it did leave some people feeling kind of stunned and depressed, like, oh my God, what have we done? But the new film, America, is not a depressing film. It's a hopeful film. It's energizing. It'll help. Glenn, it helps people fall in love with America all over again, because we're so sick of Obama. We're so sick of all these things happening in our country. It leaves us sometimes feeling despondent and helpless. But no, there is a way to turn this around. Once we recognize how to fight, we're going to be able to do much better.
I will tell you this: it's not that I'm just sick of all of it. I've really come to a point, because I've studied the progressive era so much, to find that most of the stuff that has always made me feel like, flag waving kind of guy, was part of a Woodrow Wilson kind of propaganda thing. And my love for my country has become much more authentic, much more rooted in the land and her people, and much less about the red, white, and blue, and the drums and the songs and the fireworks. I am much more teary-eyed. I'll have to read something here in a few minutes. I wrote something after going to church one day on my vacation. I was in a small town of 500 people, and a choir stood up to sing. They were authentic and real, and they were hardworking, and there was no show to it at all. And I thought, this is what all of the great painters, this is what all of the great poets, this is what all the great composers have tried to capture, to tell us the story. But people are living it every day. And the real thing is so much better than what the poet has written. And that's what gives me hope. It's the pomp and circumstance that is really turning me off right now.
Yeah, you're touching on something very profound, which is that you think of a guy who, let's say, a bomber pilot or a soldier who's willing to give his life for his country. Now, is he giving his life for the Constitution or the Pledge of Allegiance or the founding documents? No. He's actually giving his life, he's risking his life for his buddy, or he's doing it for his wife and his little kid at home. So the point here is that people don't fight for abstract ideas. They fight for a real way of life that they're trying to protect and preserve.
Correct.
And so that's the America that I believe in. In some senses, I love the Constitution. I love the founding documents. They symbolize and they helped us frame this kind of life. But ultimately, it's that life I compare my life in America now with what my life would have been like if I had stayed in India. So I have a very real-world basis for seeing how my life is different in America, not just in terms of material prosperity, in terms of being able to do things and be the architect of my own destiny in a way that I never could had I stayed in India or really been born anywhere else in the world. So that is my America, and that's the America I want people to emotionally as well as intellectually experience in this movie.
Dinesh, I'd love to have you on again because I'd like to pursue this. Again, when on the border, the people don't understand how people could send their kids to America, with a coyote. I don't either. I mean, it's wildly dangerous, wildly irresponsible. But Americans don't have any idea what it's like in some places in the world to where you as a family would sacrifice everything just to get your kid to America because at least in America, if they get there, there's a chance they could change everything for themselves and for the family. You've done it.
Right there that's an affirmation of the greatness of America.
Yes, it is.
The fact that we're such a magnet for people around the world. The left in this country tells us that we're the bad guys. Well, if we're such bad guys, why does everybody want to come here?
Yeah. If we're not unique and we're not special, then why do people take their kids and give them to coyotes and risk their death just to get here? The name of the book and the movie is America. It is in theaters everywhere. You can go to americathemovie.com and find out where a theater is. A+ Cinescore rating, which is absolutely unheard of. A good friend of ours, Jerry Mullen, who did Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, he is the producer on this, and Dinesh D'souza has done it again with another great movie that every American should see. Bring the family, PG-13. Dinesh, we'll talk to you again. Thank you very much.
Glenn, looking forward to it. Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.